Thank you for jumping in with us today.
Yeah.
Have you been to Radio Days before?
No, this is the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, so
how are you finding it?
It's interesting because, being from America, it's like I want to get the European and worldwide vision of what radio is to them. And I'm finding it's different for everyone, but it's kind of cool because there's so many people here from different countries and just the effect of radio and how it's still loved and still relevant to them.
I think the key word there being like still loved.
Yes. Yeah.
People are very passionate. It's an event that, if you come here, you're a real radio personality, lover, through and through. You touched on it a little bit. Talk to me about the main differences instantly from being here today, from sort of the American market to the European market. Very different being the key word again.
It is very different. And one of the things that comes to mind is that I think in Europe, it's more unified. And I think they're more, the mentality with radio is, okay, let's all get together and let's make this work and let's save it, make it relevant. To where in the States it's more like, let's make money instead of...
Very bluntly,
it is.
As long as we're getting in the cash, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all about money for the most part. But their mentality, that's priority. I'm not saying they don't want to save radio, but priority is let's make money instead of let's make radio.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel like a combination of both would be quite nice, right?
Yeah, you gotta have a good balance of that. You gotta get everyone together because this is our industry. Yeah. This is radio, so you have to make it relevant and make nurture it, grow it, and then the profits grow. It can be done together. Yeah.
Now, as much as I love talking about money, let's move on from that. Let's talk about you. Yes. Another great topic. Talk to me about your career. How did you start? Where did you get into it? What's that like? Going back right to when you were probably 5. What was that first moment where you were like, I know the radio's for me?
Wow. This is gonna be a long story. It might be like a Netflix special.
We've got time.
We got time. Yeah. I've been in radio. I started in '93, 30 years. Like you said, I started when I was 5 years old. When I first started talking. No, you know how it is. I had a love for music, and I think most people in radio, especially if you work in radio at a music station, you have a love for music. So my thing was music. I wanted to be in A&R, finding bands and signing them. But when I was, going to school, they didn't have like classes on A&R, the music business. They do now, but back then they didn't. So I was like, what's the next thing that I can do? And it was like, radio or be a music major. I was like, I didn't play instruments besides turntables, being a DJ. So I said, well, let me do radio. And I got an internship, and actually while I was in college, was interning at a radio station there. Okay. And that became literally after my internship was done, I got hired. And
wow.
Yeah. So I got
that's
hired.
Not easy to do to convert
it isn't
that quickly.
No, and this is like working in Los Angeles with my first job, and that's like, that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to start in a small town, with just like 500 people in a corn farm or something like that, broadcasting the cows. But here I am in one of the major
piece of advice for anyone that wants to get into it. He's basically like, I walked into success instantly. Like, I don't know how, but that's what I did.
Yeah, luckily. But seriously, it was an accident how I got into it because I was answering phones for this talk show that was on our radio station, which was called The Beat at the time, and it was a gang prevention show. So I was answering phones, but what they did, they would have the on-air personalities. It was a show that was simulcasted in San Francisco and Los Angeles. So they would fly in the personalities from San Francisco, and they missed their plane. So I was the only one in LA that could run the show, and they say, we want you to be on the show. And I said, first of all, I don't know how I'm going to save gang members. I'm not in a gang. I'm going to talk them off the cliff. I said, but I was in school for radio. I said, but I do have experience, so let me go ahead and do this. And I saw that as my opportunity.
That's a real big needle move moment of, this is almost like my one shot, but
You know how people say that luck is really just being prepared for when your opportunity happens, and that was my opportunity. I was prepared from schooling, and I took that as an opportunity also to go to my employers and be like, hey, I can save you money, but money
again, money.
Yes. You don't have to buy plane tickets. I can do the show. And that's how it kind of, just to make a super long story short, that led from me doing this talk show to putting me on the air to have my own show part-time on weekends, to being on full-time doing a 2 a.m. shift. And if you start in radio, you just start doing 2 a.m.
Yeah, you do. You do. I can categorically say, as someone that's been in radio for 5 minutes, I rarely sleep, and most of my work is between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m.
Yes. Yeah. So there is some type type of sacrifice given into it.
Glamorous.
Yes.
Glamorous.
Yes.
That's what everyone says. Okay, so let's get to the here. Let's get to the now. The world chart.
Yes.
Your baby. Talk to me about that. How long has the world chart been going for? And talk to me as well about how it's sort of evolved over the years to where it now is.
It's evolved a lot. Radio Express has been, the official world chart has been on for 24 years now. We know recently we celebrated our 20 year, and it started off with two other hosts, with Joe Cipriano and Ace Walker back in the 80s, and then it went to Mike Savage, and then me. But I was also doing an urban version of the show beforehand, which was a hip-hop and R&B version of the world chart, because the official world chart is the top 20 songs in the world, pop songs. So it didn't matter if it was hip-hop, R&B, pop, country. That's what the official world chart. A show that I did, the version that I did initially was just hip-hop and R&B. So I became the third host after the two were gone, and been doing it, now for, I've been there 20 years, so it's been a long time.
He keeps coming out with statements, and I'm like, we're going to need to discuss your age next.
When I was 10, I started the official world charts, and it's been amazing, and especially this year, we kind of juiced it up, beefed it up more. So now we really make it truly a worldwide show where we talk about not only songs that are big worldwide, but in certain countries. Like we'll do here are the top 3 songs in Honduras. Here are the top 3 songs in Spain. So it's kind of cool because you hear sometimes you hear a song like, I never heard that song, but why is it number 1 in Spain?
Well, yeah. How did it get there? Because I think, as people, we are ignorant. We are in a non sort of attacking sense. We live in our own world, we live in our own bubble, and the nice thing about the world chart, right, is it's a chance to celebrate places, people that perhaps you wouldn't necessarily know unless you were physically here in somewhere like Germany or whatever. That must be nice for you to shed light on everywhere, right? World being the key word.
It is. It's nice. And then to also find out that, hey, we all love the same song. Yeah, I believe that is the number 1 song because I love it. I love that Dua Lipa song. I love that, Taylor Swift song, so it's really cool.
And do you find that is the case? Like most of the music that we sort of play on the world chart is celebrated within places that you wouldn't even necessarily think would appreciate someone like Dua Lipa or Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah, I do find that. And then just like I said, the introduction of artists I wouldn't know from that region. Yeah. So it's really, music is universal, and it's a community that brings us together. And that's what the official world chart is we're making the world a little smaller, and that's because of music.
Yeah, and I love that. It brings people together, as does the show. It's a great opportunity for you to chat, to interact to people. What is the fan base like? Who listens to the world chart? What do they want to know? What are they asking you? What's the tea from the show?
Well, they obviously want to know what the number 1 song is, and that's why they tune in too. And then a lot of people want to know, where can I hear the show? Is probably the number 1 question.
Great question.
It is a great question, especially if it aired in a certain place like. Apparently, I don't know if I'm huge in Africa, but I do get a lot of messages from people in Africa like, hey, I grew up listening to you. And I was like, oh, when I was 10, right?
One more time, just to put the age back in there.
But they're like, I grew up listening to you. I love the show. Where can I listen to it now? And one of the great things we did this year, too, is now we have the X1 Player app. So now you can stream the show for those who don't get the show in certain parts of the world. So get that X1 Player app and you can hear the show.
X1 Player. And we're talking about digital here. A lot of the chat is, being at Radio Days, what's the future of radio? What does that look like? What's the future of the world chart?
I think the future of the world chart is, you being more accessible, which we are with the X1 Player app. And one thing, hopefully, is now I could probably see the fans, getting out here. Being here in Munich, is one step, and going out, hopefully, to see those fans in Africa and maybe doing a show live. So I think more just now we have a community, and hopefully, seeing the community and seeing the fans. And that'd be really, I think, really nice for not just me, but for them too.
For everyone, actually, to be able to physically connect with someone. Okay, we've spoken a little bit about that. Last question for you. What does the next, let's say 50 years, because I know you started so young.
Yeah, so 50
years, you'll be like
I think I'll be 55. Yeah.
By that point, what does it look like for you? What do you want to achieve? What should we keep an eye out for?
Just for me in general, or the world? For me in general, wow. At that time, hopefully, I'll be retired, and then I'll be at one of these countries that listens to the show world. So simply a warm one, a warm one, one of those warm beach
listening to the
ones.
Radio rather than having to communicate through it.
Yes, as the goal, I think, for all of us.
PJ, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Liam. Yes.